Will you please welcome this year's honoree, Mr. Pat Summerall.
You can search a long time, and you won't ever find a better Man of the Year than Anthony Munoz. He's as good a man as there's ever been. It's a privilege to be here, to be at the same table with Bill Walsh. He and I have been friends for a long, long time. To be a part of the Walter Camp tradition, to be a part of what has become such a magnificent affair as this has become, I'm honored and deeply honored. Congratulations to all the honorees tonight. You've got some future in front of you, is all I can say. I was at the Super Bowl just a few days ago, last weekend, in fact. I went to the Commissioner's Party on Friday night. I know you've been here a long time. I went to the Commissioner's Party on Friday night, and I met a couple that I knew of but did not know them. And the gentleman said, "I'd like you to meet my wife, Jo Ellen." And I was introduced to Jo Ellen, and she said, "Pat Summerall." "Oh, yeah, I know who you are. You're the guy that puts me to sleep every Sunday afternoon." So hopefully I won't do that tonight. Walter Camp's life obviously was football. My life has been football. 10 years as a player in the NFL. The years at Arkansas in college, the years before that in high school. Football has been my life. Over 40 years broadcasting in the NFL. Been a very fortunate life. In fact, someone asked me last night, if you had to go back and do it all over again, what would you change? And I said, I can't think of anything I'd change. The world has been good to me. But I did a few things while the world was being good to me that I'm not very proud of. In the years of rising through television ranks and getting to the top of the heap and remaining at the top of the heap, I became an alcoholic. I'm still an alcoholic. I went to the Betty Ford Center for a cure, and the cure took, thank God. I haven't had a drink in 14 years, which I'm very proud of. Thank you. While I was there, I had been, I thought, a Christian. I thought I was brought up in church surroundings. I thought I knew what it was all about to be a Christian, but I really didn't know until I got to the Betty Ford Center. I stayed there 33 days. The normal stay is 28 days. I stayed 33 because they said I was so angry for the first 5. I went because of an intervention. I was so angry for the first 5 days, that didn't count. But while I was there, in the course of being cured, I was exposed to what the Bible is all about, what Christ is all about, what life is all about from a religious standpoint. I didn't become overnight saved. I didn't become a Christian overnight. I wasn't reborn. But I got out of the Betty Ford Center when they told me that the only way you're going to beat this disease that you have is that your head and your heart have to get together and have a meeting in your gut. That's pretty tough and pretty frank, but that's exactly what has to happen. And that happened to me. When I got out, I started to study a little bit more about what Christ was all about. And I discovered that I didn't know anything, that I was not a Christian, that I had all the beliefs that I had had as a child. I didn't understand. I didn't know what they were about. So I became very, very inquisitive. One evening, the pastor was at our house, and I asked him if he would baptize me at the age of 65. And he said, "Well, that's sort of unusual that you be baptized." I said, "I'd like to be baptized." So 2 weeks later, I stood in the tank of water with everybody else about this high, and I'm hulking over everybody else. The pastor was not a very big man, and I thought, I hope he gets me out of this when the time comes. But when I went down into the water and started to feel what it was all about, I had such a feeling of freedom and such a feeling of being by myself, helpless, but free. And I came out of the water, and when I came up, I've never felt as good in my life. I thought, my gosh, I know what it's like to be. I do know now what it's all about to be reborn, because I had been reborn. My curiosity wasn't satisfied. I didn't know everything, and I never will know everything, but I knew I was on the right track. We mentioned about Walter Camp and his dedication to football, and there are all kind of benefits from the game of football, all kind. I heard somebody say one time that a man by himself is in bad company. And I happen to think that statement's very true, because the relationships you make in playing football, the people that you play alongside of, the relationships that come out of that association, whether it be in high school or college or in the pros, those are relationships that'll last forever. And those friends that you make when you're under fire and in the heat, you make friends at that time that those friendships never go away. They always last. And that's what I missed the last year when I didn't broadcast. And I was so happy when I got the chance to go back with ESPN this past year. I realized how much I had missed, not so much the football. I did miss football, but I missed the relationships and the camaraderie and the togetherness and everything that went with it. I want to be brief. As I said, last April, longer than that, while I was accomplishing the unhappy thing of becoming an alcoholic, I did some liver damage. And my health started to go downhill and downhill and downhill. And I took medicine, and I thought I was curing things and controlling things with medicine. The doctors finally told me 3 years ago, you got to have a new liver if you're ever going to live a rewarding life again. I didn't believe them. I thought we could control it with medicine. We didn't. I couldn't. Last January, I became very, very sick. Got on the list to get a liver transplant. Finally, April the 10th, at the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, I got to the point where I thought I was dead twice, which is an experience that should not be experienced. But I thought I had met Jesus a couple of times. I thought that this is the way dying is going to be. And each time I came back and started wondering what people were going to say about me in my obituary, and I knew that if I was worried about that, I couldn't be dead. But when they came into my room, I knew that I wasn't going to make it without a new liver. And when they came into the room and said, we have a liver that fits you, there's a certain qualification that goes with a liver replacement, size, blood type, obviously, and things like that, I started to think, why do I deserve this? Why should I have a new organ in my body? I haven't taken care of what was given me. Somebody is going to have to die for me to have life if the operation is a success. And until you have experienced that, you don't know what a feeling that is, to think that somebody has to die in order for you to continue to live. And I have no idea whose liver I got. I know that I feel better than I've felt in the last 15 or 20 years. My energy is almost back to where I can remember it used to be. My feelings are that I've been given another chance at life, and I've been given a lot anyway. I made a vow to myself. One of the toughest things you have to do, they tell you that you will never know who the donor is, that after 6 months, you can write a letter to the family of the donor and tell them not who you are, not what you do, you can tell them where you're from, you can tell them what you've enjoyed that you would have missed if you hadn't gotten that liver. You can't say anything personal about yourself. You can just tell them how grateful you are, and God bless them. That's the hardest letter I've ever attempted to write in my life. It was an awesome task, and I hope I did it justice. I've written the letter, but as I say, it was very, very difficult. I think I hope I know, but it's up to the family of the donor to contact me and tell me that they want to know more about what I've done and what I've accomplished, if there is anything. When I came out of the operation, and I'll just share this in closing. When I came out of the operation, when I went into the operation, first of all, the doctor said to me, "You won't remember the trip to the operating room. You won't remember the operating room itself." When I got into the operating room, I did remember it. I remember the trip. I remember going into the bright lights of the operating room. I remember seeing all the doctors standing around the table. And I saw the surgeon, and I said to him, "May I shake your hand?" And he said, "You're not supposed to be conscious." I said, "Well, obviously I am." He said, "Well, give him a little more juice." I said, "I want to shake your hand because I'm in your hands now." And he said, "No, you're wrong." I think if you can think of a more comforting thought, he said, the surgeon said to me, "No, you're wrong about that. We're both in God's hands." And if there's anything you could say to someone that would be comforting, that's comforting. When I got out of the operation and realized that it had been a success, I still thought about now what I have to do with my life. I have to do it doubly because I got somebody else's liver inside me, and somebody had to die for me to have this chance, the chance to be here to speak to you tonight and share this with you. I asked why. I asked preachers. I asked my minister. I asked my wife. I can't tell you how many people I asked them, why me? Why did I get another chance? I didn't deserve it. I've abused things, and I've had a great life. Why did I get another chance? And the answer was, God's not through with you yet. And I hope now that whatever I do the best I can at what Jesus Christ has in mind for me, and I don't want to leave anything undone that I can possibly do. I can't thank you enough for including me in this wonderful affair, and my deepest appreciation. I thank you so much. Good night.